This is, I need you to understand something, okay? Once this is implemented, it's over, okay? Like
Not really.
every single step being taken in this direction is not because there is a real need or a necessity for this kind of step being taken. It's for a larger project. And the larger project is identical to what the Nazis did.
Oh
We're
my
going to get
God,
started
Hasan.
obviously on the
Why is it that the Hasan fans, the Hasan left, like ultra left people, always just go straight to Nazi this, Nazi that, when they literally are committing the most anti-Semitic stuff in the world right now? But like death to the IDF, they like scream all this stuff out. But they, but apparently Trump's always doing stuff that the Nazis did, which is not historically accurate at all.
Big Booty Cheeks bill. I covered it extensively yesterday with David Dane. As you guys know, there was a vote.
Remember, look, in the history lens, like there was a huge eugenics movement happening back then, like a proper eugenics movement in the scientific industry that was going throughout the entire college system. There's nothing like that today.
Votorama that took place yesterday where, you know, legislators were going up and down, figuring out whatever kind of like additional things that they wanted to add into the bill. They did that and they officially passed it this morning. Obviously, this is devastating, as I warned yesterday. It is a completely psychotic wealth distribution bill. It is one of the worst bills. It is one of the most fascist bills. It is terrifying.
One of the worst bills, one of the most fascist bills. Like, it doesn't say why. He just says, this is it. This is why it's this. This is why it's this. And then, like, if I look at his comments, it's like the comments are all in agreement. It's like they don't have a mind for themselves.
Fine. And it's most likely going to pass in the House of Representatives too at this point. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it is what it is. America winning. We're winning. Oh, we're winning so hard. I can't wait. 17 million people kicked out of health insurance as a consequence of the underfunding of Medicaid. 17 million Americans. And we don't even know the full extent of the bill yet because they basically were adding stuff. They were writing the bill up until the last moment where they voted on it. So we don't even know the full extent of it yet. But as we parse through, there are obviously a lot of the high level things that we've discussed: Medicaid cuts, work requirements for SNAP and Medicaid in general, but then also simultaneously a ton of funding for the American military, but for ICE in particular. That's a really terrifying amount of money. Why do they want to overfund ICE like this? Well, because ICE's major hurdle at this point, in order to do these like concentration camps, in order to operate as the Gestapo secret police force.
Not concentration camps. They're literally just prisons where people that do illegal things go. It's a concentration camp. Like, you can't just use the word concentration camp because you feel like
Of course, that Trump wants it to be. They don't have enough funding. They don't have enough people to work at ICE. Rural hospitals are gone. Underserved neighborhoods where the hospitals require Medicaid expenditures, done. At a time when rural hospitals are already in a place of crisis. It is over. What is their end goal here? What do you mean?
It must be just so sad to know that America has lost its way because it's had so many illegal immigrants, like, and illegal people just go in there and just kind of destroy the whole country. And that you have to do this stuff like this now to fix it.
Fascism, 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 shock doctrine, fascism.
It's not fascism. It's literally not fascism. Like, the Donald Trump in a historical context is very left-leaning. Like, a real fascist leader is nothing like Donald Trump. Not even minutely like Donald Trump. There's no comparison. Like, it's not true fascism. It's nowhere near the same level.
Privatize everything. Kill the working poor. Make sure that their lives are horrible. And when they speak out, take away their citizenship. It's not happening yet, and I've been warning about this, but this is the final stage. This is how it is.
The left are so upset they're about to lose their slave workforce. That's what it really is. Because right now in LA, they don't have to pay real wages. They just pay immigrants barely anything, like just like $1 or $2 an hour to get work done. And they're about to lose that. The slave masters are upset because they're about to lose their slaves.
Always worked throughout history. That is where we're at right now. We are doing domestic shock doctrine. We have been doing it since 9/11, but this is kicking it into high gear basically hitting the last level. Okay, would you have expected us to get here as quickly as we did? Feels nuts. Yes, Trump is greatly accelerating America's fascist demise, but yeah, I mean, it's what, 6 months at this point? We're nearing 6 months. Not even 6 months yet. This is like 5 months and change, and here we are. We bombed Iran. The genocide of the Palestinians are continuing. We are accelerating weapons transfers to Israel. Hassan has been calling this for several years, and every lib has been saying he's been exaggerating. I know.
About that.
And we're here. Where are the liberals? We got concentration camps with alligators on.
Not concentration camps. They're literally just prisons that have alligators, but they're not. I don't think I understand what concentration camps really are, Hassan.
The lie that undocumented migrants are actually a national security issue has basically taken root, so much so that people don't even question it at this point, and that lie needs a solution. I feel like we're going to spend the rest of our lives trying to undo everything in this bill alone. Stuff like Medicare for all is taking a backseat to just defending the minimum we already had. Our imaginations shrink. Yes, because when Republicans come to power, they do everything they can with these kinds of budget reconciliation bills to undermine any kind of amenities that the working poor got in the past like 100 years or so. And they do it successfully every single time they're in power. And then the Democrats don't even claw back any of those gains. Like they don't even restore the normal order once they are in power. This is what is also known as the ratchet effect. This is where we're at. Where would you go live that's better? And they aren't concentration camps. They're not going to pull people's eyes out or gas them or kill them. They're just holding them until they can go back to their country where they came from. I hope you understand something here. You're never going to understand this reality because you probably are completely oblivious to history. This is exactly what the average German nationalist said about the Jews. They were like, listen, these guys...
That's ridiculous. That's not how it happened at all. What happened in Germany compared to what happened is happening in America is completely different circumstances. One is literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people coming to the country illegally, or basically an invasion into a country without any invitation, without any proper documentation, and just coming into the country and overtaking it. A lot of them are criminals, a lot of them are not. Doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. What happened in Germany was completely different. It was hundreds of years of Jews and other peoples who lived in those countries, who then all of a sudden, because of a massive eugenics movement happening since the 1920s, came through and said, we got to target the Jews because they are basically the most powerful people. We need to eradicate them and take back the Anglo-Saxon power, the Aryan power of the world. They're not even comparable situations. It's completely ridiculous to even come to some sort of conclusion to compare both of them. It's fear-mongering from Hasan. And if your followers and fans actually believe this, it just shows that they must be stupid or just uneducated.
Represent
or just
a
such
national
cocks,
security
Hasan.
threat. It's perfectly valid to take away their citizenship, and it's perfectly valid to put them in a concentration camp as we move them away. We're not gonna claw their eyes out. I don't know why that's we're not gonna kill them. This is how the Holocaust literally happened. Okay,
ridiculous to say.
I'm sick and tired of explaining it. What is the point? What is the point of learning about history if you are just not going to learn about history at all or take away?
Learn about history. You're literally talking about things that's not historically accurate at all. You're just gaslighting your audience and whoever's out there and saying stuff that's not true. You're literally lying. You're making up just trash, dude. Absolute trash.
Wait, any lessons from it whatsoever, or ever use it as a decent analogy to what's going on currently? What the hell is happening here? How are 5150 votes allowed? Because it's a budget reconciliation. I think all of it should be 5150 for the record. I think that technically it would all be 5150 as a minimum necessary vote if it wasn't for the filibuster. A regular majority would be fine to pass most bills if it wasn't for the filibuster. And the filibuster can be voted on to avoid the filibuster. That's why you need a supermajority. That's why you need more than 50 votes. This was a budget reconciliation, so there is no filibuster regardless. This is passing as a budget reconciliation, which is a basic majority bill. The only hope and a dream we have is the Tea Party being insane and just being such rugged libertarians that they are just I don't care. We're not doing any deficit. Fuck you. I'm not voting for it. Once again, our hope and a dream is on some of the most psychotic in the country, some of the most psychotic representatives in the country. I am praying to my Lord Jesus Christ, Jesus H. Christ, our Lord and Savior, and also, perhaps more importantly, Hayek, Milton Friedman, Ayn Rand, and the Koch brother
Now you're
that
mocking
is
Christ.
still alive,
Okay.
and the one that's dead, that the Tea Party pulls through and just
Tea
nukes
Party
this out of
are not pulling
orbit
through,
once
mate.
again and causes more instability. That is the only thing I am praying to the Rand Corporation. Please, Donald Trump, save me. Okay, I'm telling
happening.
you, this is the only thing that will maybe potentially stop this from pushing in the House of Representatives is the rabid far-right Tea Party caucus, the Freedom Caucus, as they're known, which is unlikely. I'm still going to pray to all of the gods that they believe, the gods of capitalism, the gods of anarcho-capitalism. Please, for the love of Christ and all things holy, whatever the fuck you believe in, okay? Please nuke this. It won't happen. They went along with it last tax bill. I know, but I shouldn't stop dreaming. And you shouldn't
should
either.
Stop dreaming.
Yeah,
It's
60% of nursing homes' income comes from Medicaid, by the way. They are melting the poor, the working poor, and the old. Okay, once again, they do not care. And this isn't like the dog catches the car moment, because it clearly doesn't matter. It clearly doesn't matter, because if there is no true opposition to this, if there isn't like a united front and a real difference, if there is no one on the other side, if there aren't like 1,000 different Zoran Mamdanis that bloom as a consequence of this devastation, and the Democrats are still operating on the Hakeem Jeffries notion of politics, the Chuck Schumer notion of politics, then Americans are just going to get more and more angry. And in that volatility,
I actually genuinely believe that like Hasan has been put down to commit propaganda to actually destroy America. Like I'm starting to think that Hasan is like generally trying to destroy the fabrics of America. Like I don't understand how someone from a multi-billion-dollar family can come to this country, originally from Greece, then to Turkey, then Turkish billionaires, political powerhouse. His father in particular, Hasan's father, was a very powerful man, and now it's all of a sudden, doing this. It's insane.
As we have seen in the past couple of decades, they become incredibly easy to manipulate. They become more and more angry at like random people. They become scared of their own shadows. Do you not understand? This is what I've been screaming about. This is precisely the reason why simply sitting around and expecting the Americans to come to terms with like this economic devastation is idiotic. It's dangerous. 50% of individuals over the age of 75 and 2/3 of those over 85 are on Medicaid. 60% of all nursing home residents receive care funded by Medicaid. Long-term nursing home care is funded by Medicaid, okay? These are people who have Medicare, but also in order to get the proper
You know what's scary is that Hasan's actually Greek. Deep down. He's from Thessaloniki.
Funding for long-term nursing home care, they get Medicaid. What do we do with the old people? Do we just kill them? Do we just melt them? What are they going to do?
We're talking about extending the 2017 tax cuts, overhaul eligibility for Medicaid and food stamps, no taxes on tips or overtime. That was a big campaign promise that President Trump was out there talking.
Chat, with this bill, ICE is getting direct appropriations to the tune of $30 billion with a B, okay? $30 billion. On top of that, with the additional expenditures to all Customs and Border Patrol, okay, whether it be state expenditures, whether it be detention expenditures, or whether it be additional funding for immigration courts and immigration detention centers, the total number goes up to $175 billion. With the new appropriations for Customs and Border Protection, CBP, immigration courts, detention expansion, and state-level border assistance, the bill and its immigration enforcement budget totals $175.155 billion with a B. With a B. Please understand how psychotic this is. The budget will give, once again, $175 billion to immigration enforcement broadly. This
that's literally going to be that is the cost of the damage that the Democratic Party has done to the US. When you rip away the fabric of what makes the US, this is the kind of bill you have to pay now to fix the problems, to make them all go away. This is the damage the Democratic Party did to the US. Literally destroyed the US.
CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, and American Immigration Enforcement at a higher budget than, I think, virtually every other country's military. This makes it the most expensive law enforcement apparatus on the planet. This makes it like this is more than the GDP of nation states. One must ask the question why this much funding is necessary. Because
because the Democratic Party let in millions of people.
The reason why they're doing this, you have to understand, the reason why they're doing this is because they are gearing up for ethnic cleansing, okay, internally. That is the point. The major hurdle.
Okay, they're not gearing up for ethnic cleansing. Okay, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. They might be trying to reestablish their country as a country that has, rules and boundaries, but they're not ethnically cleansing their people. That's the most outrageous thing I've ever heard in my life. What the hell are you saying, Hasan? How can you say that? How can you put that much fear into the world?
As I have said time and time again, for ICE deportations, like mass deportations, like the ones that we've seen so far, which at a very limited capacity, even though it's still harrowing, it's still awful, was the major hurdle against that was literally not the lack of ambition, but instead logistics. There isn't enough places to put, enough concentration camps to put the people that are being grabbed and detained. And this will not stay.
Ridiculous.
Just like I said, there is no world where they're like grabbing all undocumented migrants that are criminals or whatever, because there aren't that many criminal migrants in this country, right? Because the criminal migrants that do heinous crimes, they get prosecuted and they go to prison. Like the notion that, oh, if you're undocumented and you do a crime, you get away with it. Like that's bullshit. That's made up. Trump has lied about that over and over and over again. So I told you that they were going to go after regular migrant workers that have the proper authorization to work on U.S. soil right now. And they have been. They've been going after migrants that have been checking in with ICE, that ICE knows exactly where they live. ICE knows exactly where they work. They've been going after as many people as they possibly can, because they want to make a show of force. But a big part of the issue here is simply the lack of funding. They don't have enough people to do mass apprehensions all around the country. They do not have enough facilities to place people into after doing mass apprehensions all across the country. And now this bill creates a funding vehicle to do that. Watch this space. It is one of the most important parts of the right-wing reactionary fascist agenda. Everything is funneled through immigration enforcement for them, because it is the one area that the executive office has more authority over. So if you use immigration enforcement as the driving vehicle of your internal military, your secret police force, you can get away with a lot more unconstitutional while still simultaneously eroding what remains of constitutional protections to begin with. And eventually, they are going to go after political dissidents as well. First, they're going to go after every single undocumented migrant that whose immigration status has been in limbo. Then they'll go after DACA. Then they will start denaturalizing people. First, if you've been naturalized as a citizen in the past 5 years, you're probably first to go. Then 10 years. Then eventually they will call into question any American citizen's citizenship status and inevitably move on to natural-born U.S. citizens as well. If this does not stop, that is where it will go. And it won't be because these people...
I'm open to hearing about this, but I definitely do think this is a far stretch. I mean, I don't mind if America is literally trying their best to try and get their country back, which they should. Otherwise, I'll end up like Europe and the UK and become like just another basically Middle East inside of Europe. But I mean, these are the consequences of these kind of things, though. Like, what are these countries supposed to do? Are they just supposed to dwindle out of existence? Like, I don't understand. Like, are you supposed to just let everyone into your country no matter what? Like, what is the goal here?
Are, heinous criminals or whatever, even though that is what the Trump administration will keep saying over and over again. It will be because all of these people will be considered political dissidents, a danger, a threat to American national security. A lot of people look at the aftermath of Nazi Germany's violence and they go, oh, well, you can't compare this to the Holocaust. Like, what are you talking about? Not realizing that The denaturalization process was legal in Nazi Germany, okay? The remigration process and the removal of people's citizenship was a part of this, and the messaging was exactly the same. Once again,
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the same. It's not true. These are just lies.
Trump is going after American citizens next. It's not going to stay with just non-citizens, okay? Here
like
it
to
is.
say, you know, a little controversial, but I couldn't care less. We have a lot of bad criminals that came into this country, and they came in stupidly. It was an unforced error. It was an incompetent president that allowed it to happen. It was an auto pen maybe that allowed it to happen, and it did happen. But we also have a lot of bad people that have been here for a long time, people that whack people over the head with a baseball bat from behind when they're not looking and kill them, people that knife you when you're walking down the street. They're not new to our country. They're old to our country. Many of them were born in our country. I think we ought to get them the hell out of here, too. You want to know the truth. So maybe that'll be the next.
This is, I need you to understand something, okay? Once this is implemented, it's over, okay? Like every single step being taken in this direction is not because there is a real need or a necessity for this kind of step being taken. It's for a larger project. And the larger project is identical to what the Nazis did. Eventually, taking away the citizenship status and making American citizens stateless, okay? Obviously, you start off by claiming you're going after criminals. And a lot of Americans have no interest in thinking about this and assuming that this is like an unreasonable step. They will go along with it. They will say, oh yeah, well what? You want rapists to stay in the country? F them. Not realizing once you can denaturalize American nationals, American citizens, it will not.
I understand because the thing is, if say Hasan's right, you still have the issue of rapists and murderers in your country. You still have to get rid of them. So like, what's your solution? Just not do anything about it? Just let it happen? Just let it be? And just let these people thrive? I don't get it. Like, what is the solution? Like, what is the solution? Just let these people live on, and these criminals who've come here, just let them just do their thing and let them take over America and change the country's fabric forever. What is the solution? I want to know. I'm willing to listen to you if you have a compelling argument, but right now, I'm not sure what you're saying.
Stay with criminals. This is also, obviously ridiculous to do to American criminals to begin with, but it is a logical conclusion to reactionary ideology, because if you think the only solution to crime is more and more severe deterrence measures, more and more severe penalties, then yeah, of course you're going to take away people's citizenship. What do you mean? You should kill them, right? Like, that's the whole point. The Economist uses 10 charts to explain Trump's big, beautiful bill. The overhaul of taxation and spending would spell trouble for America. SNAP losses in federal funding. Federal funding losses for SNAP from the House OBB 2029 forecast percentage. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. One way the House and Senate bills cut spending is to cut programs that benefit poorer Americans. Food stamps, or to give the program its full title, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, is one such program. Analysis of the House bill by the Commonwealth Fund, a think tank, that shows that this would particularly affect some states where Mr. Trump won very high shares of the vote, such as Mississippi. On the impact of health insurance, and this is like, the redder they are, the higher the federal funding losses are. On health insurance, estimated people losing health insurance by 2034 under the House Big Beautiful Bill and other existing laws. The biggest change to social policy, though, is in health insurance. Through a mixture of tax changes and cuts to Medicaid, health insurance for the poorer, the number of Americans without health insurance will rise. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that the House bill would increase the number of uninsured Americans by nearly 12 million by 2034. Some estimates put this number at 17 million. Remember, these are some of the poorest people. They need it desperately. They need this Medicaid desperately so they can actually go and get some kind of health care. That Medicaid actually funds a lot of these rural hospitals that are already in a dire state to begin with. Major cuts coming to health insurance. And like I said, some estimates put this at 17 million people losing access to health insurance in this country. These are some of the most desperate people that need it. Republicans are also using the OBBB to gut the Inflation Reduction Act, Joe Biden's signature climate law. The House bill included measures that critics say will choke off clean energy investment. Announced by the Rhodium Group, a research firm, suggests that under the IRA, America was on course to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 40% by from 2005 levels by 2035. A de facto repeal would reduce that by more than 10 percentage points. The changes could hit utility bills too. The Senate version adds taxes on wind and solar projects that fail to comply with the rules that limit the use of materials from certain foreign countries such as China. One less discussed but consequential provision buried in the tax bill is a tax on remittances. Early drafts propose a rate as high as 3.5%, but the Senate version pulled the tax rate down to 1% and narrow the types of transactions that this applies to. Modeling by the Center for Global Development, a think tank found that the impact on El Salvador would be equivalent to just 0.006% of gross national income, down from more than the 1% under the House bill. Still, after deep cuts to foreign aid earlier this year, Big Booty Cheeks bill will be another squeeze on some of the world's poorer countries. Even if the bill clears the Senate, several House Republicans have said they will oppose the latest version, citing concerns about cost and content. Whatever its eventual shape and ultimate fate, the Big Booty Cheeks bill is a test of the Republican majority's fiscal credentials and of its loyalty to Donald Trump. And as I said, it also offers $175 billion to Trump's immigrant enforcement agenda. $175 billion. Larger than some other countries' GDP, okay?
This is the cost when the Democratic Party make huge mistakes and allow millions and millions of people into your country. I'm sorry, USA, but you're going to sort your mess out, and if it's going to cost $125 billion, and that's just the way it's going to be, right? And, anyways, it's interesting. What do you guys think? Curious in the comment section. If you're a Hasan fan, tell me why you are concerned that Nazi Germany is returning to America.